Allo. We are back with another historic brawl and deck tech. This time for Sovereign Okinec Ahau. New card from the Lost Caverns of Ixalan. 4 mana, 3/4. Legendary creature, Cat Noble. Ward 2, which is super relevant. Whenever Sovereign Okinec Ahau attacks, for each creature you control with power greater than that creature's base power, put a number of +1/+1 counters on that creature equal to the difference. So, when I first looked at this, I was like, okay, it's a combat commander. It is, but that didn't really interest me. And then I pulled it, and I started playing with it, and it was way more fun than I thought. So, I'm going to give you the rundown on this. We've got more packages than normal, because this one's a little bit all over the place, not my usual style of deck, very streamlined. This one's got some moves. Starting off, we got the ramp package, which is mostly the same as always, with the notable exceptions of... Emergent Sequence is just a little bit better here, because it makes a creature that has 0 power and toughness, but has +1 counters, so it's automatically affected by Okinec's ability. And Kami of Whispered Hopes, for the same reason. This is a Hardened Scales. 3 mana, if 1 or more +1/+1 counters would put on a permanent you control, put that many +1/+1/+1 counters on that permanent instead. And then adds X mana where X is its power, so that is excellent in this deck. And then Fertile as well. It is a 3 mana 0/0, which enters the battlefield with 2 +1/+1 counters. And you can pay 2 mana to remove a counter, and target player searches their library for a basic land and puts it onto the battlefield. So every time your commander attacks, you get to basically double these. Any 0/0s will double their power and get that many more counters. You need to do a non-zero amount of work to get Kami of Whispered Hopes online, but that's what the whole deck's about. So, next up is our protection package. We've got Giver of Runes, Selfless Savior, and Skrelv in the 1 mana white creature category. Giver of Runes taps to give another target creature protection from colorless or the color of your choice until end of turn. And Skrelv does more or less the same thing. It gives hexproof from a color, and it can't be blocked by creatures of that color this turn, so close enough. And then Selfless Savior can be sacked to give target creature indestructible until end of turn. Then we've got Snakeskin Veil, which gives hexproof, a 1 mana instant that gives hexproof and a +1/+1 counter, which is nice because that sticks around and it works with Okinec's ability. Gaia's Gift also gives a counter, plus +1/+1 counter, gives Trample, Reach, Trample, Hexproof, and Indestructible until end of turn. I like this one in particular because the Trample gets super relevant in this deck. When you don't have Trample, you end up running into tokens over and over with giant creatures, and it's not great. Swiftfoot Boots, an old classic. It's really here for the haste more than the hexproof because, well, it's a combat deck. You want to be attacking as soon as possible. And then Arwen, the Mortal Queen. 3 mana legendary creature, Elf Noble. Arwen enters the battlefield with an indestructible counter on it. And you can pay 1 to remove the indestructible counter. And another target creature gains indestructible until end of turn. So that's where the protection comes in. But you also put a +1/+1 counter and a lifelink counter on that creature, and a +1/+1 counter and a lifelink counter on Arwen, so she's really good here. That's super helpful, makes Sovereign Okinec start going. And next is our interaction package. First we've got Hopeful Initiate, a 1/2 for 1 with training, and you can remove 2 +1/+1 counters from it, and pay 3 mana, to destroy target artifact or enchantment. It's good to just get the ball rolling with training ability, and then having the ability to pick off artifacts and enchantments is quite nice. Swords to Plowshares, classic, always good. Makes a target creature, its controller gains life, blah. 1 mana instant. Haywire Might is just a nice, efficient 1 mana creature again. You really want to get on board with this deck. 1 mana 1/2. When it dies, you gain 3 life, whatever. You can pay a green, sacrifice it, and exile target non-creature artifact or non-creature enchantment. Pretty good card. Very useful. Then we've got Ram Through, which is a 2-mana instant. Target creature deals damage equal to its power to target creature you don't control. If that creature has trample, excess damage is dealt to the creature's controller instead. Sometimes this is just a win condition. You're able to basically double the amount of damage you're dealing to someone during a turn. Knight of Autumn is a 3-mana 2/1, and when it enters the battlefield, you can put 2+1/+1 counters on it, which is nice for getting the ball rolling. You can destroy target artifact or enchantment, also nice, or gain 4 life if you really need it. Next up is Voracious Hydra. Green X, trample, for an 0/1 with it enters the battlefield with X+1/+1 counters. When it enters the battlefield, you can double the number of counters on it, or you can have it fight a creature you don't control. Very nice that it comes with trample natively here, because it's super useful. Needing trample on these creatures was like one of the first things I noticed in here. Next up, I've got the Buff Everything category, which starts with Paladin class. It is a 1-mana enchantment. Spells your opponents cast cost 1 more during your turn. Cost 1 more to cast, whatever. And you can pay 3 mana to get it to level 2, and it gives your creatures +1/+1, which is nice to spread Okinec's ability across your whole board. And then you can pay 5 to give it whenever you attack until end of turn. Target attacking creature gets +1/+1 for each other attacking creature and gains double strike. So that's a good closer, but I rarely get to that point. Next up, we've got Strength of the Coalition, a 1-mana instant. Target creature you control gets +2/+2 with a kicker for 2 and a white. If this spell was kicked, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control, which is very nice. Flowering of the White Tree is a huge standout here. White for legendary enchantment. Legendary creatures you control get +2/+1 and have ward, bringing Sovereign Okinec's ward up to 3, which is very good. Non-legendary creatures you control get +1/+1, so it affects everything, but it affects legendaries more. Very good, anthem. King Darian, 3 mana, other creatures you control get +1/+1. You can pay 5 to put a +1/+1 counter on him, and create a 1/1, which will be a 2/2. And you can sack him to give your tokens hexproof and indestructible. It's okay, it's whatever. I mean, the +1/+1 on the whole team is what really matters here, and it's quite good for that. Dueling Coach, when it enters 4-mana creature, when it enters the battlefield, distribute 2 +1/+1 counters among 1 or 2 target creatures, so that gets the ball rolling. And then it also has an activated ability, white, tap, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control with a +1/+1 counter on it. Very nice card. Cather's Crusade is a classic. Whenever a creature, 5-mana enchantment. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. Nice in every deck. Excellent in this deck. Yeah. McKindy Stampede is a MDFC, a land on one side, and then the other side is a 5-mana sorcery. Creatures you control get +2/+2 until end of turn. Done. Simple, very useful, very good. Mikaeus the Lunarch is one of several X-costed creatures in the deck, like Voracious Hydra. White and X enters, it's a 0/0 with X +1/+1 counters on it, so it automatically works with Okinec. And then you can tap it to add a counter, or you can tap it and remove a counter from him to put a counter on everybody else. And you can just keep on doing that because Okinec keeps on adding new counters to him. Next up is our Trample category. Starting with the Shadow Spear, an equipment that 1-mana equipment that gives +1/+1, gives trample and lifelink, and it has a activated ability, permanents your opponent's control lose hexproof and indestructible until end of turn, which turns out to be pretty relevant sometimes, especially against like Heliod in particular. Known menace. Next we've got Gnarlid Colony, 2-mana 2/2. Each creature you control with a +1/+1 counter on it has trample. And then you can kick it for 3, and it comes in with 4 +1/+1 counters. These are the best ones. I really love that. Duskshell Crawler as well. When it enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. And each creature you control with a +1/+1 counter on it has trample. And Pride Malkin, same deal. Actually, same text exactly. It's just a Dusk Shell is an 0/3 for 2, and Pride Malkin is a 2/1 for 3. Yeah. Then Sigarda Paladin, or Sigardian Paladin, which is the first time I ever actually came across this card when I was building this deck. As long as you've put one or more +1/+1 counters on a creature this turn, Paladin has trample and lifelink, and you can pay 2, and target creature with a +1/+1 counter on it gains trample and lifelink until end of turn. Very nice. That was like one of those weird finds that's like, oh, this is perfect for this deck. Alright, next up we've got a bunch of efficient creatures. Let's see, what are the standouts? I don't necessarily want to read every single creature, but the most important ones are things like Conclave Mentor. If one or more +1/+1 counters will be placed on a creature, place that many +1/+1/+1 counters instead, and when it dies you gain life equal to its power. So this is another Hardened Scales effect. Then there's Botanical Brawler, a trample 0/0 for 2, which comes in with 2 counters, and whenever one or more +1/+1 counters are put on another permanent you control, if it's the first time a +1/+1 counter has been put on that permanent this turn, put a +1/+1 counter on Botanical Brawler. That's a lot of words to say every time something else gets a counter. For the first time each turn, put a +1/+1 counter here. Very good. And it has trample natively, which is so important. And the face of power creep, in my opinion, we've got a 3-mana 2/1 that enters the battle artifact creature. Enters the battlefield to put 2 +1/+1 counters on target creature you control. So this is a colorless 3-mana 4/3 at the worst, and at best it's doing other things, with Unearth for 2 and 2 green. Yeah. This card weirds me out. I guess it's a rare, but whatever. Next up we've got Vorinclex, doubler of counters being put on permanents you control, and it halves all the permanents that would be placed on, halves the counters that would be placed on permanents your opponent's control, as well as trample and haste, 6/6. And then Galton Mavrin is super fun in here. It has trample, it is a 7-mana 12/12, and whenever you attack, choose one, create a tapped XX green dinosaur creature with trample, where X is the greatest power among other attacking creatures, and that comes in attacking. Or create X/1/1 white vampire creature tokens with lifelink, where X is the number of attacking creatures. So, either side of this is just excellent. It's a great game closer. I didn't want to run many like high drops, but I thought this one was enough of a standout to be worth it. And then we've got our X cost creatures. Stone Coil Serpent, X Reach, Trample, Protection for Multicolored, enters with X +1/+1 counters. Nope, that's enough. That's everything you ever want in a creature in this deck. Ochre Jelly, it is a green and an X for X/1/1 counters, adds Trample and Ward 2, and when it dies, if it had 2 or more counters on it, make 2 copies with half those counters instead. So it can proliferate itself, which is super nice. And then new card, Jade Light Spelunker, green and X, 1/1. When it enters the battlefield, explore X times. Super, super nice. And then our last category are just some pump spells, starting with Audacity, a 1-mana +2/+0 aura, and gives trample. And when it is put into the graveyard from the battlefield, draw a card. So just simple and good. Giant Growth, again, simple and good. 1-mana instant +3/+3 until end of turn. Hardened Scales, it is the original Hardened Scales. It adds a +1/+1 counter to any +1/+1 counters being placed on your permanents. I guess just creatures, so not the Ozolith. Then the Ozolith, which is always nice for these decks. Whenever a creature you control leaves the battlefield, if it had counters on it, put them on the Ozolith. At the beginning of combat on your turn, if the Ozolith has counters, you may move all of the counters from the Ozolith onto target creature. Then we've got Michiko's Reign of Truth. It is a saga for 2 mana. Target creature gets the first and second chapter are target creature gets +1/+1 until end of turn for each artifact or enchantment you control. and then it flips into a 0/0 that gets +1/+1 for each artifact or enchantment you control. And it's always 1 at minimum because it is itself an enchantment. This card is excellent. Next up we've got the Ozolith, which is, again, a Hardened Scales effect. And then you can also pay 2, tap it to put a counter on something, which is nice. Activate only as a sorcery, so whatever. And it has cycling. Never cycle this. Next up we've got Titanic Growth. It is 1 more than a Giant Growth for twice the cost, which is not great, but it's still great because +4/+4 is +8/+8, 4 of which sticks around. Then we've got Maul of the Skyclaves. Excellent, excellent equipment. 3 mana. When it enters the battlefield, attach to target creature you control. An equipped creature gets +2/+2, flying, and first strike. Nothing's fighting this guy. Next and last, we've got Invigorating Surge. It's a 3 mana instant. Put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control, then double the number of counters on that creature. So yeah, that's the deck. Those are most of the important cards. We've got a whole bunch of normal cards in here. Things that get counters, things that give counters, things that draw a card when counters are placed on them. Gives counters, gets counters, gets counters, gets counters. Yeah. Let's go. Let's get into some games. I've actually built 2 versions of this deck. One is the version I've just shown off, and then the other is an Enchantress version. And there are more versions to be built. This is a super fun deck, but I'm going to go with the normal combat version for now. Right, yeah, that's the one. Alright, let's get right into it. Don't mind me, I'm just going to kind of sort of do a thing. Hopefully that didn't change anything on y'all's side. I don't know how much of the audio is actually coming through from the game. Shouldn't be much, if any. But it was kind of loud in my ears, so I figured I'd fix that. Alrighty, who do we got? We've gotten Ashaya, Soul of the Wild. That's scary. So mono green, maybe landfall, maybe just... Ooh, this hand is excellent. Probably landfall style deck or just a ramp style deck. Keep 7. Hello. So here we're going to lead with the Mystic, because next turn we can tap it to put the Utopia Sprawl onto a forest and have that forest tap for an additional mana, bringing us up to 3 after that, which we don't actually need. I'm just going to play Conclave Mentor, so whatever. Ooh, actually, we can play the Fabled Passage just in case we don't find another land, and that makes a ton of sense. Well, we did find it. Fabled Passage. Green. Utopia Sprawl. White. Conclave Mentor. Crack my Fabled Passage. And next turn we can play our commander. Oh wait, I am getting a forest here. Can we play our commander and the Ochre Jelly? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 total mana? No, we cannot. So we're just going to lead with the commander. And pass turn. I don't know what the alchemy change for this was. I'm kind of curious, but it's whatever. Maybe I'll learn it someday. They got a Beast Whisperer, which is very scary. They're probably just gonna pop an Ashaya in now. That's what I would be doing. Maybe they want to develop more first. If you have more than 5 creatures when you cast Ashaya, Ashaya is basically free because they can all tap for mana. Oh boy, here we go. Now we've got, oh boy. Let's go like this. We're going to save 3 mana for, we're going to spend 2 mana here. Maybe we do want to keep the Snakeskin Veil back. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So we're going to play this for 2. 1, 2, 3. And then we are going to go ahead and Titanic Growth our commander. And then we're going to head into combat. And so that's going to double the counters here, plus 1 from this. And we're swinging in for 12, which is a bit of damage. Fairly quickly, I think. Not too shabby. Now, honestly, I expect this Ochre Jelly to maybe kill the opponent if they don't do something dramatic this turn. I assume they're going to do something dramatic this turn. But yeah, this deck goes kind of fast. It's kind of wild. That was what, turn 1 Mystic, turn 2 Utopia Mentor, turn 3 Sovereign. Okay, Reclamation Sage. That hits the Utopia, I guess, but whatever. That is just fine by me. So this will be a 14, it'll be a 15-15 next turn. That's something that they need to deal with, or at least block a substantial portion of. We do have a 10-10 commander, but that's not good enough here, I don't think. Oh my, okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4 for this, 1 for this. Math is for blockers, right? I guess I can block the Okinec with the Toski. I still think I want to do this. I'm going to target this one here. Give everything a counter. Put a Snakeskin Veil here. Good game, yeah. Darn. So this would have been coming in as a 27-27. Yeah, love it. Love to see it. Ooh, that Strength of the Coalition, so good. I went from thinking I was dealing 15 with trample to dealing 26 with trample, or whatever I just said. Interesting. Anywho, let's get on to game number 2. I wouldn't mind a clean three game sweep, though this deck definitely doesn't always win, but it does apply pressure very quickly. Beladros Witherbloom. Dragon the untapped lands, is it? This hand is much worse than the last hand. I guess I'll keep it anyway. I can play all my spells. Yeah, 10 life to untap all lands you control. Beginning of each upkeep, create a 1/1 pest. Okay. It's a 7 mana commander, so it'll take a little while till I have to worry too much about it. I think next turn I just run out Ozolith, then the turn after that I'll run out the Ochre Jelly. Alright. Fabled Passage. There's no real reason to run this out and crack it, but it just gets 1 tutoring out of my way. Speeds up life a little bit. And the Ozolith. And swinging for 1. Alright, we've got an Ornithopter Paradise. 3 mana for a 2/2 Ochre Jelly. Swing for 2. Opponent goes to 22. Next turn I play a Sovereign Okinec, and then the turn after that we get cooking. Wonder if I just want to hit the Ochre Jelly with the Giant Growth. Kind of depends on what they play, if anything. Ooh, okay, cool. Let's go Forest. Sovereign. Grow my Evolving Adaptive. don't grow my Evolving Adaptive. But I do, in fact, get to grow my Ochre Jelly. Oh, wait. These are oil counters, aren't they? Sure. You can have them, dude. Enjoy. And I'll go in for 2. Yeah, so the counters on this guy aren't actually +1/+1 counters. They just act like it. Whatever. Close enough, though. That is a little bit of an awkward interaction, but it's not the end of the world. It works where it matters. So they need a 3-mana piece of remove. Good game. Yep, they can read the writing on the wall. I doubt they were dead that turn, but if I topped a Titanic Growth, they might have been. Alright, let's go into game number 3. I might do a 4th game. This one's going fast. I definitely zoomed through the deck tech a little bit here. I'll probably try to leave a link to the deck list in this one. Start doing that. Also, I want to... Ooh, Myco Tyrant. Excellent. We get to show off another one of the new commanders. I was just going to say I want to make a whole bunch of the new commanders. I think it'd be pretty fun. Turn 1 Ozolith, turn 2 Kyrian Beastcaller. So odds are we're going to draw a land sometime in the first couple turns, right? But I'm actually just going to run out the Fabled Passage now and grab a green off of it. It's just super awkward if you don't end up finding that 4th land. And then you have to play it and be on 2 mana for an extra turn. So now we're going to go ahead and play the Kyrian Beastcaller. So this is whenever you cast a creature spell, put a 1/1 counter on it. And then when it dies, distribute X 1/1 counters among any number of creatures you control, where X the number of counters on this. Alright, we're going to go ahead and play a Forest, an Evolving Adaptive, a Skrelv Defector Mite, and an Ozolith. That was quite a... yeah, that's a good turn. Skrelv cannot block, has Toxic 1, and you can pay 2 life or a white mana, tap it, and get something hexproof from a color, Toxic 1, and can't be blocked by creatures of that color until end of turn. Alright, this is slightly awkward. Let's go ahead and... it's a little bit risky here, but I'm just going to Swords to Plowshares their commander, and then play the Swiftfoot Boots. My alternative was Spelunking, which is not a bad call, but I've seen the Myco Tyrant do some wild things, so might as well just get rid of it. Which kind of goes in the spits in the face of what I said, where it's like, oh, let's see the Myco Tyrant. No, Swords to Plowshares. I want this person dead before they get to do anything with their Myco Tyrant. Yeah, what I really meant was let's see the Myco Tyrant fall before my might. Alright, that's also super awkward. Let's go ahead and pay 2. And now it explores twice. Not a land. Also not a land. Nice. And then we're going to go in for some damage. We're going to kill the butler. They're going to get probably Akawali, the Seething Tower, back from their graveyard. Or say a Wayfinder, that's fair. That thing is pretty good here. I would really like to draw another land at some point. Uh-oh. Spore Mound. And a land. And a 1/1. I'm kind of spooked now. Oh, please. You can't do this to me. Go ahead and play that out. Let's put this here just in case. I'll go to combat, swing, swing. Yeah, I guess we're just playing an aggro deck now. They're down to 14. 5, 6, 7, 8, 8, 9, 10, 14. I do have 14 damage on board. They are in fact going to have to block if I attack with everything next turn. Alright, they've got a 1/1 and a Satyr Wayfinder. And an Elvish Mystic. Unfortunate. That's fine. I'm kind of glad they didn't play the Satyr Wayfinder there. And we found our land. Now, I'm actually going to go ahead and fire off the Strength of the Coalition. If I top deck another land next turn, we will... Yeah, I don't know if we actually kill them that turn, but... Nothing here is trample, huh? Let's give it to the smallest... Let's give it to the most valuable guy. And we drew a card, and we go attacking. This is not the kind of game I expected to be playing here. Down to 9. So yeah, even when I don't get Sovereign Okinec out, maybe it's okay. Maybe everything is fine, even though they're about to put 6 more 1/1s into play. If I can just get one of those, that's not what I need. Let's play Sovereign. And no attacks. Okay. Now, I do actually think this is okay, though. I just need trample somewhere. Well, that's less okay. Take action. Oh, hey, there's my extra land, but I kind of wanted my commander too. Unfortunate. Take action. Put him in the command zone. Alright, we've got a Kami of Whispered Hopes. Let's consider our lives here. Yeah, let's just run out the Kami. And next turn we can Giant Growth as a, what's it called? Dark Ritual. We can trade our Giant Growth for 3 mana if we need to. I could definitely lose this, but I could also definitely win this. We will just have to see which happens. Okay, I think we're in not the worst shape. I'm glad they don't have a way to draw cards or anything like that. That is a 17/17 with trample, though. I don't like that at all. 6 mana. 7/8. Is that good enough? I'm not going to use my Giant Growth. If they attack with everything, that's 6, 10, 14. I'm actually pretty sure they could have killed me that turn. 17, 9, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. I have 22 total defense. Toughness, what have you. Darn, I think we're losing this. Let's play out our commander and hope for the best. No attacks. Maybe they'll just want to play with their cards more. No! Ah, well, I think I'm just dead. Well, they're not doing the math, so... 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, sure. Let's think about this. This gives trample. Okay, let's do it. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Make ourselves a 6/6. Their position isn't getting better right now. Pass turn. Now I can kill their commander with only a couple blockers, but they are missing lethal here. I'm pretty sure they've had lethal for a while. Alright, we've got a land. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We have 8 mana total if we want it. Darn, man. What happens if we attack with everything? Invigorating Surge. And everything has trample, so. Wonder if they're gonna block with lethal for everything. Killing that, killing that. Okay, okay. I see you, opponent. And these guys can't block, the ones that come from the Myco Tyrant itself. This is fine. We're gonna Giant Growth this. And then we're gonna Invigorating Surge this. Guess it didn't really matter the order we did that in. And then we win. Honk. Oh man. So our opponent kind of threw there, but man, that was a lot of damage with trample. Feels good, man. All right, one more game, one more. Just, I can't believe we won that. That was wild. We didn't deserve that at all. Let's get in for one more. Ah, man, that's so fun. I've really been enjoying this deck. It's just, I'm not used to playing aggro so much. And I've been cooking. This hand's not great, but I'll keep it. We hope to draw into a another land at some point. So we go Ogre Jelly on 2 into Simulacrum on 3, giving its counters to the Jelly. Just trying to be mana efficient with that. They've got a Schooner. We've got a Cather's Crusade. And a Simulacrum. Going in for 3. Yeah, the Schooner's awesome. Guess it's only one creature that crew zip, but still 3/4 for 2 crew 1. Man, look at that. Look at that. Broken. No blocks. Do I look like a blocking deck? Run at our commander. Get in for 5. And we can actually Audacity Titanic Growth the Ochre Jelly next turn and kill them if they don't kill Sovereign. Play your Mana Rock, please. If I play Skyclave Relic, I'm pretty sure we just win. Well, that is incredibly good news for us. Oh no. Their guys go. Oh, well, I don't love that. I'm not even going to block there. That means they have 2 mana, which is not great. Well, actually, I can put the Audacity on my... Oh, this is awesome. Good game. Audacity here. Unless they have a, what's it called? Pact of Negation. Yeah, they see it. Good game. Oh, man. So, yeah, that is Sovereign Okinec Ahau, or however you would pronounce that, if anyone If anyone knows, scold me or whatever. But yeah, we're 4 for 4, 4 wins in a row. We take those. Thank y'all so much for watching. As always, it has been an absolute pleasure playing today. And this has been the Art of Dying, and I will see y'all next time.